What's up, guys? Welcome back to another fun episode with AB Investments. Don't worry, guys, I'm just now getting in the car. I'm not driving, as you can see, so I'm gonna put the seatbelt on so you guys don't say, AB is driving and, without a seatbelt. Click it before you ticket, So this is rather a late night video, but this is a very important video. I'm gonna prepare you guys for some things that the rest of the market does not, or the other people in the market are not, preparing you for. Because at the end of the day, I'm trying to get everybody on the same page and get everyone to think like the institutional investor so that you can always come out on top. It's not about who comes on the bottom or whatnot, but it's for me, our community comes first. Well, with that being said, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. Neither this is financial advice. This is just nothing but enlightenment on something that a lot of people are not looking at. And that thing is, next week, we have something really special coming up. And again, no one is talking about this. I guarantee you, your favorite YouTubers are going to come out and, they're going to all talk about it. And again, I probably like next week or on the day of, because they're just going to cover each other out, I'm going to be the first to tell you this. And I want you to go with me on this little trip of understanding what could come from this and why it's really important to take it's called the quadruple witching day. And what that time is basically when 4 different financial assets come to expiration at the same time. Most of it is option index funds, option index futures, all coming in at expiration at the same time. And that only happens 4 times a year: March, June, September, and December. And always on the 3rd Friday of those following months that I just gave you. So I hope that all the YouTubers start covering that, because it will enlighten the community a lot more than just hyping it up, or giving it fear or anything. No, let's just, we're here, right? So what matters the most is to get through, to go through it, whether we're gonna lose or we're gonna win. And I know we're not gonna lose. We gotta go through the whole process. But the only way that could happen is when everybody is educated equally on the same page, so that we can win this whole move out. So we can win this whole movement out. So anyways, with that being said, let's go back to the dates that I was just giving you guys. When you have all these things expiring at the same day at 3 a.m., and the volatility continues normally for 4 days around that time, take a trip back with me, okay? When did the first thing happen with the GME and the AMC thing? It happened in January of 2021, right? Good. Now, what was that expired in the 3rd Friday of that December, before December came to an end? You got it. Quadruple witching day. Now, think about the second run-up that we had. When did it come? June of 2021. Guess what expires on the 18th of that month? Quadruple witching day. Now you're asking yourselves, okay, does that mean it's happened? Here's the thing. I'm not telling you guys that this is the day that we're going to squeeze. No, because it didn't happen on those dates, right? But it's all those events that happened relatively very close, in very close timing to those days. And why? Because the algorithms of the system that they have is set up in between those dates with all the futures and the expiration of all the indexes that they have. And when they expire, now there has to be different everything has to be completely reset and redone. But when all these things are expired and new volatilities, and that is like, to me, that shows me that that is the only times when that volatility is happening that we have a tiny small window that we can break in and break those walls and go through. Now, we were able to successfully do so in January and in June, but on a small level. We're trying to break the algorithm all together, right? The only way that could happen is if we get many of these brokers slash small hedge fund players, like the smaller players who are short on any stock, not just AMC or anything, to get rolled over on and get margin called. Because when that happens, guys, it becomes a trickle effect and a domino effect, and where it starts rolling down and more people will start getting margined. Now, if we get majority, if not all, the little guys marginalized, then we don't have to worry about the algorithm kicking us in the face or anything, or hitting us back, or trying to do what happened in January too, but mainly in June. A very premature movement. We went up to the $74 and right back down we go. And simply just because the algorithm, no matter what we do, is constantly set up from the get-go to defeat us. That's just what it is. Even if we buy 50 billion shares, and obviously that's the case because look at it. We have so many synthetics out there, so many, like billions of shares, but at the end of the day, the stock is not just not going up, it is going down. So we have this opportunity coming up, and I just want to bring it up to everybody's attention that on the 18th of this month, which is next week, I believe it's next week. Yeah. Yeah, it will be like, I think next Friday. Next Friday or next Monday, it does not matter. It's coming up on the 18th of March. I think it is Friday. So when that comes, I'm bringing it to your attention, guys, because it's either before, like a week before, which is the week that we're in right now, that we start seeing crazy movements, or maximum 2-3 weeks after, or 2 weeks after at the most, because like the algorithm obviously is resetting itself and is getting so many different indexes, futures and expiry dates until the next quarter end, which is, or not the next quarter, until the next stop, which is June 18th. So in my humble opinion, if we don't kick down that wall in this month, around the 18th to the mid-April or beginning of April, then it looks like we're going to have to wait it out until right before the June timeline comes around. You know, I know everybody wants the squeeze to be tomorrow. I want it to be more than everyone to be tomorrow. You know, I've been in this thing since September of 2020, guys. But at the end of the day, it's about doing it with knowledge. You know, it's not just, hoping and wishing and get frustrated when you don't get your date. I'm giving you true knowledge here. I'm not giving you a pump date or anything. I'm just looking at the patterns of the market that happened before. Look at it. Don't believe me? Go research. Quadruple witching day. You need to understand these terms to be a very good and successful investor in your life and anyways, and down the line. Look at the times that we ran up. We ran up the first time in January of 2021, and literally like just a couple weeks before that, less than a couple weeks before that, that's when these indexes came to a quadruple witching day. Same thing happened in June 18th, quadruple witching day. The only little different that happened, no, it's literally the same thing. The only difference in the June and the January one was the January was caused right after the like a couple weeks right after the witching was done. The June one was literally right around it, like a week before it started, and then it continued. It went on during that timeline, and then after that it started going down when the algorithm found its reset, it was able to do so. So if you have any questions, guys, please put them in the comment section. I can go over it more and more. It's a little bit tricky, but it's simple when you remember the dates. All that matter is March 18th, June 18th, September 18th, and December 18th. It's always the third Friday of any of these months that I mentioned. So when you remember the quadruple reaching day, you remember by doing so, you also will remember like when all these index expirations come to an end, you look back at the patterns of what when we ran up before, then you'll be able to come up with a little more understanding and, you know, a thinking process saying that, hey, you know what, this could really, we might be onto something. This could be really around that timeline. They could be working these things in between. Like they could set out, you know, a certain date and say that from now until March, you know, 18th, we're good. And it could be January. Like, oh, we're not going to deal with this. We're just going to let the algorithm do its thing from now until then. And that's why you see a lot of no sudden crazy difference in what's happening week in, week out, until suddenly you know, people feel like every 6 months to 3 months, whatever, to 9 months, something happens. But if you narrow it down and look at those, you know that it comes around these dates, because these dates are important. When you're talking about 4 financial asset futures and simultaneously come to an expiration, obviously there will be volatility. Now, if we get our window and go through, perfect. If we don't, hey, we'll continue the movement and keep moving. Again, guys, much love. I know it's a late night video, but hey, it is what it is. If you're not watching it now, watch it in the morning. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you like the content, please like it so that we can also push it out to more and more people. Sorry for a little longer, but you guys deserve the best. Much love.